Hello there, everyone. Today we're going to talk about solving inequalities, and today we're just going to talk about positive inequalities. So we're not going to involve any negative numbers. We'll talk about that tomorrow, and there's a special reason why we're splitting positives and negatives, but I'm not going to get in that today. But we have to do something special with negatives. So the big idea here that I want you to remember is that solving inequalities we do in the exact same way as solving equations. There is no difference when everything is positive, okay? So I don't want you to see this inequality marker and panic because you already know how to do this. You know how to solve equations. You're good at solving equations, and there's literally no difference here except the symbol we have looks different, okay? And then what the solution means is a little bit different, and so we have to graph it. So if we go through this first one, we're still going to draw our balance line to show that we need to balance both sides of the inequality in this case. It's not an equation, it's an inequality. And once again, our goal is to get x by itself, which means we want to move everything to the other side of our balance line. So in order to do that, I have a plus 3. So I'm going to undo that with minus 3. And I keep it balanced. My 2 3's cancel. And I will have x on the left side. 9 minus 3 is 6 on the right side. And then I'm going to remember that I do not write an equal sign. I'm going to write, this is greater than. Okay, so there's my reminder that I have right here. Remember, our final answer should have an inequality, not an equal sign. Because x does not equal 6. X is greater than 6. So let's now talk about what our graph is going to look like. So I'm going to start by picking a spot for 6 on this number line that I have. I'll just put it right there. It doesn't matter if this is an open number line. I can put it wherever I want. And I know that's my starting value. So I'm going to draw my circle. And I can do a couple of values on either side. And then I know that this symbol right here is a greater than symbol. So I'm going to shade to the right where all of my bigger or greater numbers are. Okay, and then I have to think about that circle. Is 6 included? And so is that circle open or closed? Well, since x is greater than 6, that means it's only numbers that are bigger. 6 is not included, and so my circle stays open. Okay, let's look at our next problem. Draw our balance line. I'm going to solve just like an equation. So I'll get rid of my minus 7 first with a plus 7, the inverse. So those cancel. I will have 5r is less than or equal to 9. Then I'm going to divide by 5, divide by 5. Those cancel, and I'll be left with r is less than or equal to, I want to remember my inequality, 9/5, which I also could think of as 1 4/5 or as 1.8 if I wanted to convert it into decimals. So any of those will work. Okay? And so, let's see. I'm going to look at this as being 1 4/5. So I'm going to put 1 right here. I'll put 2 right here, which means 1 4/5 is going to be about right here. It's a little bit past the half line. Okay? 1 4/5. And this is a less than, my inequality is less than, which means I'm going to shade to the left, where the numbers are smaller. And it's not only less than, it's less than or equal to. I have this line down here, and that means that my 9/5 or my 1 4/5 is included. So it is equal to that number also. So I'm going to fill in my circle because it's less than or equal to. Notice I'm making my circle really, really obvious. Okay? I don't want just a little tiny circle. If I just do this and then color like that, it's really hard to see where my circle is. Similarly, if I draw a circle that's like that, is that open? Is that closed? I don't really know. I need to make it really clear whether it's an open circle or a closed circle and where my circle is on my number line. Okay. So next we have 20 is less than 5q. Our variable's on the right side, but that doesn't matter. We can handle that. I know that I want to get q by itself. I'm going to do that by dividing by 5. So these 5's cancel. 20 divided by 5 is 4, which is less than q. Now, I'm going to write my 4 over here. But I want to point something out that is a common mistake that I have seen. And that is that we're not paying attention to the order of our inequality. So this right here, this is a less than. And so it is very common for students to see the less than and say, okay, I'm going to shade to the left. But that's actually not correct because it's 4 is less than q. And what we want is we want to be shading all of the solutions of q. What are the possible numbers q could be? Well, if 4 is less than q, that means q could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7. Because 4 is less than 5, 4 is less than 6, 4 is less than 7, and so on. So in this case, when our variable is on the right-hand side, our inequality is flipped. So 4 is less than q is the same as q is greater than 4. Because we want numbers that are going to be bigger than 4, or numbers that 4 is less than. Okay, so we want to pay attention to where our variable shows up and think about, okay, where are solutions actually going to be? And in this case, since q can be 5, 6, and 7, to make this work, we're going to shade to the right to our bigger numbers because that's where, 5, 6, and 7 are going to be. And we want to make sure we are shading numbers that make this inequality right here a true inequality. And if I were shading to the left to smaller numbers, it would be false. 4 is not less than 3. 4 is less than 5. So we want to pay attention and make sure we are shading to the correct direction based on where our variable is. Okay, last one. Draw my balance line. Start with getting rid of this plus 2 with a minus 2 on both sides. So my 2's cancel. I'll have b over 6 is greater than or equal to 6 minus 2 is 4. Now to get rid of my divided by 6, I'm going to multiply by 6. These 6's cancel, and I am left with b is greater than or equal to 4 times 6 is 24. So I'll draw my 24 wherever I want on my number line. That's my starting value. This inequality is a greater than, and my b is on the left-hand side, so I'm looking for numbers that are greater than 24. So that's everything over here on the right side of my number line. And then I'm going to look at, okay, I have greater than or equal to, which means 24 is included in my solution. And so I will shade that in. And it's very clear that I have a closed circle. So I know that it's greater than or equal to. Okay, so that is how we solve inequalities, same as equations. We just have to pay attention in this case to our graph. So now you'll have some practice problems here that you can work on, and you're going to complete those on your own.